Hi everybody, welcome to Jin's Wall Street News. The US Census Bureau announced Tuesday that new orders for manufactured durable goods tumbled 6.3% in April from the previous month. On Wednesday, NVIDIA reported financial results for the first quarter ended April 27, 2025, and it expects current quarter's revenue to rise 2% sequentially. NVIDIA Chief Financial Officer Colette Kress said during the conference call, quote, "Our outlook reflects a loss in H20 revenue of approximately $8 billion for the second quarter." When it comes to NVIDIA's earnings, Dan Niles, the founder of Niles Investment Management, posted an X on Wednesday, quote, "Today's quarterly results and guidance did not disappoint." The US dollar index jumps to 132 after the US court blocked the reciprocal tariffs on Wednesday. The US Census Bureau reported Tuesday that new orders for manufactured durable goods tumbled 6.3% from $316.2 billion in March to $296.3 billion in April, up 3.2% from $287 billion in April last year. In addition, new orders for non-defense capital goods, excluding aircraft, a closely watched proxy for business spending plans, decreased 1.3% from $75.8 billion in March to $74.8 billion in April, up 1% from $74 billion in April last year. On Wednesday after the bell, NVIDIA announced financial results for the first quarter ended April 27, 2025. The company reported $44.1 billion of revenue for the quarter, up 12% sequentially, above its previously estimated revenue of $43 billion. However, operating income decreased 10% from $24 billion in Q4 last year to $21.6 billion in Q1. Data center revenue for Q1 was $39.1 billion, up 10% from the previous quarter. But automotive revenue fell 1% from $570 million in Q4 last year to $567 million in Q1. When it comes to the guidance, the company expects current quarter's revenue to be $45 billion, plus or minus 2%, up 2% quarter over quarter. Shares of NVIDIA jumped about 5% in extended trading on Wednesday. NVIDIA Chief Financial Officer Colette Kress said during the conference call, quote, "On April 9th, the US government issued new export controls on H20, our data center GPU designed specifically for the China market. In Q1, we recognized $4.6 billion in H20 revenue, which occurred prior to April 9th, but also recognized a $4.5 billion charge as we wrote down inventory and purchase obligations tied to orders we had received prior to April 9th. We were unable to ship $2.5 billion in H20 revenue in the first quarter due to the new export controls. The $4.5 billion charge was less than what we initially anticipated, as we were able to reuse certain materials. Total revenue is expected to be $45 billion, plus or minus 2%. In data center, we anticipate the continued ramp of Blackwell to be partially offset by a decline in China revenue. Note, Our outlook reflects a loss in H20 revenue of approximately $8 billion for the second quarter. When it comes to NVIDIA's earnings, Dan Niles, the founder of Niles Investment Management, posted an X on Wednesday, quote, "Today's quarterly results and guidance did not disappoint. Forward revenue estimates go down relative to published Wall Street estimates. But this was expected following the write-down of $5.5 billion in April. This was reduced to $4.5 billion given the ability to reuse materials, which helps revenues in future quarters relative to initial expectations. Deals in the Middle East for AI data centers and the increasing demand for inference can have investors dreaming about the distant future and discounting the importance of restrictions in China. Much like for the stock market as a whole, assuming treasury yields remain contained, I remain optimistic in the near term on NVIDIA due to this pull forward in demand. The US dollar index jumps to 132 after the US Court of International Trade blocked the reciprocal tariffs on Wednesday. According to CNBC, the judges said, quote, "The worldwide and retaliatory tariff orders exceed any authority granted to the president by IEEPA to regulate importation by means of tariffs." Okay, this is the end of today's news. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.